back when Ghost of Tsushima first came out, it was a game that I had a lot of respect for, and a game that I really enjoyed, and had nothing really bad to say about. But having gone ahead and replayed it now a few years later, it went from a game that I had a lot of respect for and, enjoyed to one of my favorite games of all time. This game is a cinematic masterpiece of a video game, and a masterpiece of a video game overall, with some very fun gameplay, a very highly engaging story, and a very fun world that I never wanted to end. I never wanted to stop playing in. Even after fully 100%ing the campaign and unlocking the Platinum Trophy, I wanted to keep playing. So, with that being said, guys, in today's video, I'm going to be giving my thoughts and overall review on Ghost of Tsushima. So as always with my reviews, I think I'll go ahead and start things off talking about the story in today's video, and the story is definitely a highlight for this game. I wouldn't say it's the highlight because there's just so many things this game does right, but the story is just absolutely phenomenal. It is full of twists and turns and unexpected betrayals and all sorts of just very high-octane moments, very intentionally mundane moments, very just a very special game overall, and I can't say enough good things about the story to this game. You follow Samurai Jin Sakai as the island of Tsushima has been overrun by the Mongols, and the Mongols have invaded the land, and you are fighting back, trying to save the land and rescue your uncle, at least in the beginning portion of the game, from the Mongols' clutches, and just kind of free everybody. And in the process, you have to maybe come to terms with, samurai have an honor code, and they follow this code of honor, and, well, in order to save everybody, you kind of have to break that. What lengths are you going to for the good of the overall people? Are you willing to sacrifice the life you knew before in order to create a life going forward, period? That sort of thing. Which, that very piece of the story plays a huge role driving the overall story. Of course, along the way, as I mentioned, there's a lot of unexpected twists and turns and betrayals. Not everybody that you think is your friend, and all your choices have consequences. We'll leave it at that. If you know, you know, and if you don't, then we'll keep it that way. This game has a very long story and a very enjoyable story. There is couple of different types of quests. There are the main quests, which of course are the main storyline. They have the little gold notification markers, but then there's also Tales of Tsushima, which there's different types of, but they're basically the side quests of the game. Whether that's literally just regular Tales of Tsushima, or there's Legends stories, where there's not Legend stories, Mythic stories, where there's slightly more, I guess, I don't know if supernatural is the right word, but ungrounded, we'll say, storylines as well. But the standout for me, and I don't even necessarily consider these on replays as side quests per se, but I consider these to be part of the main storyline, are the character tales. So along the way, you meet your allies, and quite a few of them, at least the main allies, have their own storylines, full of, again, technically side quests that you can play that really flesh out each character's background and history and story going forward. And as I mentioned a couple of times already, I don't even consider these side quests because these are such well fleshed out storylines that really heavily impact the story going forward and your understanding of everything that's really going on in the world around you. And I feel like if you just stick to the main storyline, these characters don't seem one note, but don't necessarily feel nearly as important as they truly are if you know what's actually going on and spend the time with these characters. And so I really like that. I really like that there is so much to do in this game, because it's a very massive game. I believe I have roughly 83 hours clocked on it, which, granted, there's probably some of the multiplayer and the DLC thrown in there as well, but regardless, it's a big game, and I did 100% complete it. And like I said, I was ready for more. By the time I was done, I was ready to keep going. So it's very rare that I feel that way, especially after 83 hours in a game. simply still leaving wanting more out of it. So it's a very special game. And speaking of wanting more out of the experience, part of what makes that experience so special outside of the story is also the gameplay, which is very sort of unique in this game in the sense that it is a third-person action game with some heavy stealth elements, but there's also a huge emphasis on things such as parrying and dodging. You know, when an enemy attacks and it flashes red, that's an unblockable attack, so you have to dodge. Or if it's not that way, or anything else really other than a red attack, you can block it and you can parry them, and that is what the main focus on combat is. If you treat this as just kind of a straightforward hack and slash, you will be destroyed. You will be torn apart by these enemies. Likewise, for further gameplay variation, there's also the weapon stances. So, for example, you have 4 main weapon stances that you can use throughout the game, and they help you defeat different types of enemies in different ways. So if you use, I believe it's the water stance is really good about helping you fight the enemies with shields, or the wind stance helps you with the spears, and if that's wrong, then that's backwards. I believe I got it correct, though. And I do feel like, on top of that, just the stealth in this game was very enjoyable, if not a little too easy. I did feel like there was times when enemies could quite literally stare me down and not see me if I just stood still. That happened like 2 or 3 times. All of them were a bit earlier in the game, too. I don't know what was going on there, but it's not like, you know, a huge deal. It's just, I feel like for a game that places a bit of emphasis on stealth, that stuff like that can stand out just a little bit. I do also like the stealth gameplay in general, though, and the different tools you have to kind of help with that. You know, the game is very much set up in a way where there's a lot of instances where you can take a fight head-on, or you can take a fight using stealth. And this is one of those very few games where that's an option, and I tend to actually choose stealth. With all of that said, I did mention that the game gives you an option on how you want to play it, and a lot of that is in due part to the world you are in and the environments that you find yourself in, where along the way in this game you have the massive island of Tsushima, which across 3 different acts to the story you have 3 different regions of the island, and it is a very, very big island packed with all sorts of collectibles and fun side quests and the whole shebang and all these fun things that you can do, and it is a beautiful world. It is a fleshed out world, and it's one that you can really get dragged into, and just absolutely fall in love with. And that's exactly what happened to me, of course. You know, this is, like I mentioned, one of my new favorite games of all time, I suppose, and I think that if the world was not as beautiful as it is, or as well crafted overall as it is, that would definitely have an impact on the overall enjoyment of the game. And it, to be fair, it still does, just in a positive direction. And I do really just, again, I can't say enough good things about this game. I actually, sitting here thinking, I do try to bring up some kind of counterpoints or things that maybe aren't perfect about games, some cons, I guess. And to be completely honest with you, this is one of those games where I can't think of anything that's less than, like, borderline perfect about this game. And I'm sure that that's not necessarily a true statement, and I'm sure that other people would probably disagree with that statement. But for me personally, and the types of games that I enjoy, and the stories that I enjoy, and all of the above, I am a huge fan of this game. Like, again, I can't say enough good things about it. We've talked about the gameplay, we've talked about the world, we've talked about the story, and there is one other thing I wanted to mention, which is the music, because maybe not necessarily the music itself, but just the sound in this game is absolutely insane. You know, when you're just standing there kind of soaking in the view, and you can feel the wind, or you can hear the breeze, you know, or when it's raining, you can hear the rain falling and all that. Or if you're at the beach, you know, the water, the waves crashing against the sand, all of these things really help to immerse you into the world that you're in. And it's something that's been one of my favorite parts of the game again. Another thing about the sound of the wind, too, and it plays back into the gameplay, I suppose, I forgot to mention this, The way that you find your objectives in this game is not that there's a marker on the map, but the wind actually, I mean, there is a marker on the map, but the wind actually guides you where you're supposed to go. So you can swipe up on the little touchpad on your controller, and the wind points you where you need to go. And it's just, I think that's a really unique idea and one that I really enjoy, and I think it's really cool. And again, as I sit here, I can't think of any particular negatives about this game, right? I have 100% completed it. I've actually done that twice, and I think very comfortably sit here and say that I think Ghost of Tsushima is a true 10 out of 10 experience. If I could give it an 11 out of 10, I would. You know, this is probably in at least my top 5 games of all time, right? This is one of those games where, like, literally the second I was done 100% completing it, I was thinking about starting it again. And it's very rare, like I said before, that that's true for me with any games, and here we are. So with that said, guys, yeah, my score for Ghost of Tsushima is a definite 10 out of 10. Thank you guys for watching today's video. If you enjoyed, don't forget to like, and if you're new here, why not subscribe as well? If you've played Ghost of Tsushima, or if it's something you're interested in, or anything like that, then why not comment below, or just give your thoughts on the game. Or if you're somebody who has played it, of course, also just feel free to comment down below and give your thoughts on it. You know, I'd love to talk with you guys about this game, and you know, really get into that a little bit. So with that being said, guys, thank you as always for watching today's video, and I will hopefully see you guys back in the next one. Bye.